Alrighty, party peoples of the interwebs, it's been a while since I've done a Fake News Friday, but every now and again you see a headline that requires a Fake News Friday.
It's fake news on the Friday, yeah, man. Don't believe their godforsaken lies.
Viva Frei, former Montreal litigator turned current Florida rumbler, passing through Montreal but only for a few hours. You won't believe the headline I came across yesterday. You just won't believe the headline because the gaslighting never stops, it only gets worse. A tweet from NBC News at NBC News. There is no evidence that COVID vaccines cause fatal cardiac arrest or other deadly heart problems in teens and young adults, a CDC report finds. The new analysis debunks widespread misinformation about the mRNA vaccines. I mean, you read headlines like this and you have to battle the urge to tell NBC to go f themselves, which I did yesterday in a tweet.
Shame on me.
New report shows that there's no evidence that the jab causes cardiac issues in young men. No evidence it dispels and debunks misinformation. This is literally a headline from NBC from barely 6 months ago. NBC News, small study points to possible cause of myocarditis following mRNA vaccination in young men. Researchers observed elevated levels of immune molecules that, in rare cases, could trigger inflammation in the heart. They got it wrong barely 6 months ago. Now they got it right. Trust them, because it's not like they have any financial or advertising interest in protecting Big Pharma. It's not like all of these MSM propagandist outlets are sponsored by, I don't know, Pfizer?
Today's countdown to the royal wedding is brought to you by Pfizer.
And now a CBS Sports Update brought to you by Pfizer.
Meet the Press Data Download, brought to you by Pfizer.
This portion of CBS This Morning sponsored by Pfizer.
On how to find the hidden sugars in the American family diet. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Making a difference. Brought to you by Pfizer.
CNN Tonight. Brought to you by Pfizer. Early Start. Brought to you by Pfizer. Friday night on Aaron Burnett Out Front. Brought to you by Pfizer.
This Week with George Stephanopoulos is brought to you by Pfizer.
Good Morning America is brought to you by Pfizer.
CBS Health Watch sponsored by Pfizer.
Anderson Cooper 360. Brought to you by Pfizer.
ABC News Nightline. Brought to you by Pfizer.
But trust them now. There is no evidence that the jab causes cardiac issues in young men. Go on your ways, people, now that you know the misinformation that you were stupid enough to believe. Oh, except National Geographic also reported this not long ago. Why heart attacks are rising in young adults and what to watch out for. Research shows that heart attacks are becoming more prevalent among adults younger than 50, and the outcomes are worse for women. The good news is we know how to prevent them. August 4, 2023, mounting evidence shows that more young adults are experiencing heart problems compared to decades past, and that worsening lifestyle habits, namely poor diet and lack of exercise, are to blame. And some research suggests that COVID infections are adding insult to injury. Then lower down in the article, recent events have underscored these concerns. In late July, 18-year-old Bronny James, the oldest son of NBA star LeBron James, collapsed after going into cardiac arrest during basketball practice at the University of Southern California. He has since been discharged after a short hospital stay. Okay, so it's happening, but it's not happening, and when it's happening, it's because of everything else other than the possibility of the jab. It's bad lifestyle habits, it's lockdowns, it's COVID itself, it's everything else except for that thing that was
brought to you by Pfizer.
From Fox News, May 2023, myocarditis in young males after COVID vaccine. New study suggests what may cause the rare heart condition. The heart is, in quote, innocent bystander, end quote, of the body's immune response, doctor says. From USA Today, May 2023, what causes myocarditis in boys and young men after COVID vaccination? Study offers answers. A new study may partly explain what's driving rare cases of heart inflammation called myocarditis in some young people who have gotten repeat doses of the mRNA COVID-19 vaccines. The risk of developing vaccine-related myocarditis is extremely low, affecting fewer than 20 people per 1 million vaccinations, according to the National Institute of Health. Researchers at the Yale School of Medicine studied 23 participants who developed the heart condition after their second dose of COVID-19 vaccine to learn how it developed in these few cases. Authors say that study's small sample size is a testament to the condition's rarity. Yeah, exceedingly rare. By the way, 20 per 1 million translates to 1 per 50,000, and that's assuming you trust their statistics, which I don't for the life of me, because I've had trusted sources, even adversarial ones, say that it's 1 in 10,000, which I also do not believe. There was a recent study that came out, showed it's more like 1 in 800, but set that aside. Even by this study, 1 in 50,000. Yeah, it's rare, unless you're one of those 1 in 50,000. Bottom line, it's not happening, except it's happening, and when it's happening, it's because of everything and anything else except for the jab, except when it happens because of the jab, it's exceedingly rare. Don't worry about it because new studies show this. And read the body of the article in order to understand how the article itself debunks the very headline. But that's what gaslighting is all about. It's about lying to you with the headline, knowing that too many people are not even going to go into the article to understand they've been lied to in the headline. April 11, 2024, by Berkeley Lovelace Jr. There is no evidence that mRNA COVID vaccines cause fatal cardiac arrest or other deadly heart problems in teens and young adults, a Center for Disease Control and Prevention report published Thursday shows. Ever since the vaccines from brought to you by Pfizer and Moderna were authorized in late 2020, anti-vaccination groups in the US have blamed the shots for fatal heart problems in young athletes. There is no evidence, according to this study. Bull freaking crap is all I have to say to you. Liars. Gaslighting, pathological, funded by pharma liars. And that's not my opinion. That is the opinion of pretty much everybody at this point. Even NBC itself from 6 months ago, National Geographic, Fox News, USA Today, everybody knows. The only question is, how prevalent is it? Not that there's no evidence of it, but that there is evidence of it, but it's very, very rare, so don't worry about it. One of the most notorious examples of vaccine misinformation involves Buffalo Bills safety Demar Hamlin, 26, who in 2023 collapsed on, quote, Monday Night Football, end quote, as a result of cardiac arrest. Hamlin was resuscitated on the field and eventually recovered. He returned to play for the Bills last season. Quote, when Demar Hamlin went down, immediately comments were getting made that it was possibly vaccine-related, end quote, said study co-author Dr. Paul Cieslak, the medical director of communicable diseases and immunizations at Oregon Health Authority's Public Health Division. Quote, this is kind of what we are trying to address with this analysis, end quote. Really? So you have an analysis that is focused on obtaining a specific conclusion that serves as a premise for the analysis? That is called bullcrap science. That is actually called motivated science, motivated reasoning. They're starting from a conclusion that they want to debunk the statements, debunk the myth, so that all of their analysis should come to that conclusion. That is not science, people. That is religion, and it's bad religion at that. Oh yeah, and Demar Hamlin collapses with cardiac arrest on the field, and everybody immediately goes to commotio cordis, something that is so rare it's never happened before, instead of looking at the obvious. And then when Demar Hamlin gives an interview, my goodness, did his interview not quell any concerns that it was actually the result of the jab and not commotio cordis.
After Hamlin was discharged from the ICU, the question on so many minds, what caused his heart to stop beating?
You're 24, peak physical condition, can run circles around me right now. How did doctors describe what happened to you?
That's something I want to stay away from.
Brought to you by Pfizer.
But this is my best part of the investigative journalism of the gaslighting Pfizer-sponsored propaganda coming from NBC News. The findings in the new report come from an analysis of nearly 1,300 death certificates of Oregon residents ages 16 to 30 who died from any heart condition or unknown reasons between June 1, 2021 and December 31, 2022. During this time period, nearly 1 million teens and young adults in the state had gotten a COVID vaccine, the authors wrote. Here's a small question for you guys at NBC or the authors of this study. Did you compare the amount of people who suffered cardiac issues for the same time period before the jab was rolled out? Did you bother to do that just to see if the number might be increased for whatever the reason? Did you bother to do a comparison pre-jab rollout versus post-jab rollout? I think not. But wait until you get into the depth and the numbers that were analyzed in this so-called study that debunks the misinformation that the COVID jab increases cardiac issues in young men and boys. The authors refined their focus to people who got an mRNA COVID vaccine from Pfizer or Moderna and died within 100 days of being vaccinated. Out of 40 deaths that occurred among people who got an mRNA COVID vaccine, 3 occurred within that time frame. 2 of the deaths were attributed to chronic underlying health conditions. The 3rd death was recorded as, in quote, undetermined natural cause, end quote, with toxicology tests returning negative for alcohol, cannabis, methamphetamine, or other illicit drugs. The medical examiner could neither confirm nor exclude COVID vaccination as the cause of death. However, none of the death certificates attributed the fatalities to the vaccines. Teacher, one question. Why did you arbitrarily determine 100 days as the cutoff for attributing a death to potentially being correlated with the jab? And teacher, second question. Why are you relying on the death certificates as the cause of death instead of investigating the actual cause yourselves? This is what you call arguing from conclusions and not towards them. It's motivated reasoning of the highest order. It is the antithesis to science. For people under 35, the causes of cardiac arrest are often unclear. It could be the result of genetic defects or heart malfunctions, such as problems with the valves of the heart. Oh my goodness, thank you very much, Professor Brainiac. Yeah, people who die from heart conditions, it often indicates an underlying heart problem. Well done. What exacerbates that problem? Well, it's hard to determine, so we're just going to write off one option entirely to reassure everyone that it's safe and effective and you got nothing to worry about. Hashtag
brought to you by Pfizer.
Later on in the article, the data shows, quote, no signal for any elevation in cardiac cardiac deaths associated with the COVID mRNA vaccines, end quote, he said. Quote, their conclusions are quite reasonable, end quote. No vaccine has ever been conclusively linked to sudden cardiac death, said Dr. Ofer Levy, the director of Precision Vaccines Program at Boston Children's Hospital. And some of you might be watching this now and saying, Viva, you're just arguing with the article. You haven't shown any inherent contradiction. You haven't shown that they buried the lead that actually contradicts the headline itself. That's because we haven't gotten to the end of the article yet. For those who have bothered to get there, listen to this in fine of this article. Although the mRNA vaccines have been linked to a small risk of myocarditis, the heart condition tends to be much milder than what is typically seen with traditional myocarditis from COVID infection, he added. And most people fully recover within a few days. Quote, this adds to evidence that people don't drop dead from getting their mRNA COVID vaccines, end quote, Levy said of the study. Now, some of you out there might be cleaning out your ears. Viva, did I just hear you read that correctly? Let's just read it one more time. Although the mRNA vaccines have been linked to a small risk of myocarditis, COVID vaccines not linked to fatal heart problems in young people, CDC finds. Although the mRNA vaccines have been linked to a small risk of myocarditis. We are being lied to, and it takes time and effort to find out how we are being lied to, who is lying to us, so that we never trust them again. NBC News, you are shills. I don't mean to be crass, but I'm going to be crass anyhow. NBC and others, you are filthy pharma whores, colluding with the companies that have caused the damage to conceal their damage, burying the truth all the way down at the end of the article, because you know that half of your viewers, at least, if not more, are not ever going to get to the end of it, so it is up to me to get to the end of your lies and rubbish, to put it on blast. You are all a bunch of liars, and I hope whatever money you get from this was worth the price of your souls. What good are all the riches of this world for he who has forsaken his soul? Enjoy spending that money, because it has come at the expense of your human dignity. If you like what I do, you know what to do. Like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Viva Frei on Rumble, the Viva Frei on Twitter, vivabarneslaw.locals.com for the best above average community anywhere. More important than that, get out there, exercise, eat healthy, talk to people in real life, and now you know your vlog. Peace out, peeps. Booyah!
What happened to you?
That's something I want to stay away from.